Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your June 7th edition of the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. Now, I know everyone here in Richmond County and the surrounding areas is excited and getting ready for the second edition of Plaza Jam later on tonight.
I can hear them going right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But in the meantime, in between time, stick right here. We've got all your national and local sports news on, like I said, this edition of the RO Sports Show. I'm your host, Matt Harrelson. To my right, Jeremy McKenzie, Russell Parker on the other end, your regulars for this week. And guys, NBA Finals. Got to keep the conversation going because the Cavs are messing up, man.
How about them Warriors?
How about them Warriors?
Yes.
The Cavs messing up. More specifically, J.R. Smith is messing up. And I don't really want to rag on this guy, but the Cavs were in position to win Game 1 on the road in Golden State, which is tough to do, especially in the playoffs and especially in the finals. They get it tied up. JR gets the rebound. Instead of going up with it or passing it or even calling a timeout, he backs out with it. As we know now, they lose in overtime. What do you think about this?
I think this is an avenue where if Cleveland don't get it together, this series going to be over.
Real quick.
Yes.
Real quick.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you know, LeBron can only do so much. He needs his team to step up. And I know he's been getting those points, and he's playing his game.
Yeah.
Nobody should be telling LeBron that he's doing bad because he's doing great.
I mean, LeBron's scoring 40, 50 points a game. And what else can the man do?
Yeah.
And I think what it boils down to, and I feel like we've been saying this the whole playoffs, the man's got nobody with him. Like, where is Kevin Love? Where is Kyle Korver? Where is
J.R. Smith?
J.R. Smith and Larry Nance and Rodney Hood. Where are all these guys at that were supposed to step up? Let me ask you guys this. Losing Kyrie, is that coming back to haunt him?
I believe it is because LeBron losing that nucleus where you have, where the go-to guy coming in like, hey, Kyrie can keep feeding the ball and where LeBron can dominate and score points and rebound, get assists, but it just, I think this trade is coming to bite him in the butt.
Yeah, what do you think, Russell? Was that a mistake letting Kyrie get out of there?
Oh, yeah, I think so. And I think on LeBron, though, I think they actually had a camera on him during one of the games.
They did.
And they caught him getting frustrated with his team.
Yeah.
I don't blame him, though, honestly.
Well, and I want to, and I'm glad you said that because we're going to talk about that right now. That video that you're talking about went viral, I think the next day, and you could see him, putting his head down, had the towel over his head. It was a real negative vibe you were getting from LeBron, which you don't really see. Was that justified, or LeBron being LeBron, was that the time for him to say, forget that, let's rally the troops? What do you think?
I think this is going to be an avenue where LeBron going to have to say, hey, you're the general, you need to lead your team. I said he might tell us, hey, y'all got to do something because I can't be scoring 40, 50 points a night, and somebody else got to take the pressure off of me. So who going to be next to step up tonight in the game?
That's right. And I mean, what do you think, Russell? I mean, when it comes to him and everybody else, it's almost 5-on-1, isn't it? I mean, doesn't somebody need to?
Seems like it. I mean, first of all, I mean, LeBron's human, so he's going to have these frustrations.
Sure.
And there's always a camera on him. So
absolutely.
It's hard to not get that private stuff with him. But, he needs to step up and try and help his team out. I'm sure he's doing everything he can, but he needs to continue to do that. So when it does come down to it, LeBron has nothing to feel that it's his fault. So
yeah, the way I looked at it was, that was such a tough way to do it because I felt like that was the Cavs' one shot to steal a game from Golden State.
Yes.
And they let it slip through their fingers. And I can't imagine how aggravating and frustrating that was, especially the way that it went down. However, you're LeBron. You're the man. You're the best guy on the planet when it comes to basketball. You're the leader of the team, obviously. He's the coach, for God's sakes.
Yes.
At that point, like you said, there's always a camera on LeBron no matter where he is. He has to know that people are going to see him acting like that. And that, to me, spreads to the rest of the team. They see him. They follow his lead. So now they're down. They end up losing by 10. Do you agree?
Yes, I do because this is getting real frustrating for LeBron because you're looking at it like, hey, we gotta do something.
Yeah,
we're down 2-0.
They got to do something
because if this is like a win and done. This is a win situation for them right now. If they don't win, you can truly say the Golden State Warriors gonna be the NBA champions sooner than you think.
Let me ask you this: even if the Cavs are able to get a couple games back, is this already over?
If Cleveland win 2 games back to back, now you could truly say this is gonna be an even series. Then that way, Cleveland go back to the drawing board and say, hey, we got these 2 wins. We need to find out how we're going to be Golden State at their own game.
We're right back in it. What do you think, Russell?
Well, I've picked the Cavaliers the entire way through these playoffs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, after just seeing the first 2 games, I'm switching. I think the Warriors have got this in the bag.
Well, again, I've been saying this whole time that I felt like the Warriors had some kind of weakness or something. I don't even know what it was.
Like a Superman.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say this. Of course, you can't take all this back, but I really feel like if Chris Paul would have been healthy for the Rockets, we might be talking about a different scenario.
Yes.
But that didn't happen. Here we are. You guys were right. It's Cavs and Warriors for the 14th year in a row, it feels like. And, I hope it goes to 7. I don't think it's going to, though.
I would love to see
really
a Game
don't.
7 series.
I mean,
winner take all.
I mean, I would love to see that, too.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't either. I'm afraid by the time we come back next week, we're going to know who the winner is either way. So, so we'll have to wait and see. But, again, let me ask. I asked you guys this last week, but the tide has changed a little bit here. Let's say that the Cavaliers just get, not swept, but just get wiped out of this. Is LeBron gone?
I truly believe he is.
Where do you think he goes? Or do you think he might retire?
I know there's been reports that he could have been mulling retirement, but I feel a scenario is if Cleveland does get swept by the Golden State Warriors in the finals, I don't see this as not a retirement, but I think he'll go to another team to pretty much to solidify his career, which I think LA would be a good fit for.
All right, what do you think, Russell?
Yeah, I think regardless who wins or loses this championship, he's done or at least done with the Cavs because you got a mediocre team like that.
Yeah.
You don't want to stick around. I can totally understand that.
And reports came out yesterday. Vegas has the odds on everything. Right now, Vegas has Houston as the leading team to get LeBron next year. I think that I want to say Philly was second, who I had, and then Cleveland, and then the Lakers. So. Let me throw another scenario your way. Chris Paul is a free agent as well this year. Chris Paul leaves, you insert LeBron. Is now LeBron, James Harden, is that a threat to the Warriors?
No, it's not really because you always need a big three to pretty much can step it up against Golden State. I think if LeBron does come to comes to Houston, I can also see a Chris Paul can resign with the Houston Rockets for like a 1-2 year deal.
Yeah, and I know that Paul's already come out and said he wants max money. Let me throw another scenario. I know there's a lot of what-ifs, but let's say Chris Paul leaves, goes somewhere else completely. LeBron goes to Houston, pairs up with James Harden, Russell. Kevin Durant can also opt out of his contract. Let's say he leaves Golden State, leaves Clay there, leaves Steph Curry, leaves Draymond, still a top team. Now, is Houston, can they go against Golden State?
I think so. I mean, I think any other team right now could probably do that who were in the Final Four. Other than the Cavaliers, I don't think they can without LeBron. So wherever he goes to, it will definitely benefit that team and make them a contender for whichever division they're in, even the finals.
Yeah, I mean, no matter where LeBron goes, the team's going to get better. There's no doubt about that. I'm with you. The way the finals are going, I don't think he wants to stay in Cleveland. Now, of course, that could change as we move into the summer. He maybe gets over it or, whatever happens. We don't know yet how the finals is going to end up.
Maybe the Cavs team will actually change up who there's on their roster, and they might get some decent players over there.
Yeah, I just think it's, I hate to say it, but I think it's time for Cleveland to start overhauling everything. They're paying Tristan Thompson way too much.
Yes.
They're paying Kevin Love way too much. They're paying J.R. Smith way too much. And plus you have to appease LeBron James. I mean, it's almost the catch-22 where LeBron costs so much, but you also have to be able to fill out the rest of the team to go with him, right?
Yeah, because you look at that scenario you take from last year, even when the Cavs lost the finals last year, they went and got Dwayne Wade. That didn't pan out. They sent it right back to Miami.
Isaiah Thomas,
which it was a bust move, in the car because Boston won out of that trade, and he's playing 6-man for the Lakers.
Yeah.
But I can also see a scenario where if Cleveland decides to, if LeBron decides to stay in Cleveland after July the 1st, he gonna have to, like you said, he got to overhaul the roster. They're gonna have to get draft picks, sign in trade days, where they're gonna have to get future draft picks, and also have to bring in some guys, trade like Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Tristan Thompson to other teams.
Now, I want to remind you guys, the Cavs do have the 8th overall pick coming up in the draft, which they've been holding on to forever now from that Brooklyn pick. Maybe they hang on to that and use that to get another big man or another big player, figure out some way to finagle the numbers on it. I don't know how all that works. There's much smarter people around than me to figure that out. I just really feel like LeBron's gone. Because
I can see a scenario where, hey, well, signing trade on draft day where you can actually trade away Trisha Thompson for DeAndre Jordan.
Now, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
Another guy that's hanging out there that I'm pretty sure is not happy in Detroit is Blake Griffin. Maybe we could see him move around somewhere. Or his counterpart, Andre Drummond, up there in Motor City. So, again, as we always say, we'll have to wait and see how all this pans out. Of course, just like last year, this year's free agency is going to be very, very interesting. So I'm excited to see who goes where, if anybody moves, and if they do, the bukus of money they're going to make when they do it. But that's going to do it for our NBA talk. Of course, when we come back next week, we will continue until the NBA season is over. It feels like it's been lasting forever. But that's okay because we love sports here on the Auto Sports Show.
By next Thursday.
Yeah, more than likely. That's what we're saying. It's probably going to be over. Nonetheless, when we come back from the break, we're going to be looking at the Richmond Raiders football schedule. It's been released this week, so we're going to take a look at it, maybe figure out how many wins, how many losses the Raiders might be looking at this year. We're also going to be taking a look at the 2019 College Hall of Fame inductees that were announced on Monday, and then also talk a little more college football on top of that. So all that and more when we come back from the Auto Sports Show.
At Richmond Community College, we can prepare you for a high-skill, high-paying career in a variety of fields. From business to education, engineering, utilities, healthcare, criminal justice, information technology, and human services. At Richmond Community College, we can save you thousands of dollars on tuition through our university transfer programs that provide a seamless transition to universities and colleges throughout North Carolina. At Richmond Community College, we are always developing new courses and programs in response to the communities we serve. We offer day, evening, and online courses, and you can now complete 5 curriculum programs entirely online. At Richmond Community College, we believe in helping you prepare for a better life. Richmond Community College. Local college, big impact.
Exit Realty Platinum in Rockingham has listed one of the most beautiful homes in Richmond County. Located in Rockingham on Ledbetter Lake, the home features 4 bedrooms with bamboo floors and a kitchen featuring stainless steel appliances and granite countertops, and a master bedroom that overlooks Ledbetter Lake, along with a spacious tile shower and the attached master bathroom. The open living space leads to the back deck with a perfect view of Ledbetter Lake, and the property features its own boat dock. Want to see this beautiful home? Call Nicole Hayden with Exit Realty Platinum, your source for homes in Richmond and Moore counties.
My name is Jim Leach, and we have been using the Tim Hayden Construction Company for the last several years.
My name is Dave Owens and my wife Beth. We had some damage here at our place in Knollwood Village.
January 2nd, our house flooded upstairs coming through to the first floor.
Tim has responded very quickly with his team of people.
Our repairs went extremely well.
Tim made a very difficult situation much easier for us.
And welcome back to the Auto Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. And as I mentioned before the break, we're going to look at the Richmond Raiders' upcoming football schedule. Russell's going to pull that up for us and put it on the board so everybody can see it on your screen. And as you can see, the Raiders have some tough games this year. Of course, you can see the teams that they usually play in the conference there. But I just want to ask you guys first off, we'll start with you, Russell. Anybody on there that sticks out to you that's going to be a big game?
Well, certainly Scotland and Richmond are always going to be a big game every single year, no matter who's got the hot streak, who has the better team overall. It's always going to be a lot of fun to see that game. I'm not sure what the name. Do you know the actual name of the rivalry? Is there actually a name for it? I've always called it the Battle for Highway 74 or something like that.
Actually, it's probably something similar to that. And until recently, it wasn't even a rivalry, but that hasn't been the case lately. So, what about you, Jeremy? Anything that sticks out to you?
I think for the Reds' biggest game for this year, but not only besides Scotland, you got to look at Butler.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Butler's going to be one. The one that sticks out to me the most, those are two of the big ones, obviously, is at Wake Forest. Now, Wake Forest is a team that Richmond's played the last couple years and is perennially one of the top teams in the state. Matter of fact, I think they just won a state championship 2 years ago or last year.
Yeah, they are right now. They're the defending reigning Wake Forest state championship.
Well, there you go. And now we have to go to their house after they beat us last year in our house.
Yes.
And it wasn't close. And that's one of the things that Coach Brian Tills talked about, because I stood on the sidelines and watched that game, and it was like JV versus varsity, so to speak, where they had all their guys were huge on the line. Matter of fact, it looked like everybody on the team was just that much bigger and faster and stronger than us. And that's something that the coaches said they want to work on, is at least, they have the speed, but, get the size to actually pair up to some of these teams. So I think especially with that being the only second game of the season, it's going to be critical to see which way the Raiders season goes. Now, there's 11 games on the schedule. I want to ask you guys this. Taking a look at it, what do you think the record's going to be by the end of the year?
I'm going to take a shot in the dark, and I'm going to say 9-2.
9-2.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm going with that.
All right.
I'd say 9-2, pretty much same.
All right, I'm gonna go 8-3 because I got losses at Wake Forest. Of course, I don't say course, but I've got them losing to Butler, and I've got them losing to Scotland. Now that obviously could be 9-2 very easily. The only reason I have them losing to Butler is because they have to go to Butler.
Yes.
I will say this though: Zamir White has left Scotland. Thankfully.
That's why I think they'll win that game.
Thankfully, he has left. They do have another big-time running back that's back there, but no one nearly on the same level as Zamir White, who, of course, was the number one running back coming out of the country last year. Of course, we know now he went to Georgia. Got hurt, didn't he? Ended up having surgery, but he's slated to be, I think, be ready for next year. For
he's redshirted. He's redshirted.
Oh, he is redshirting?
Yes.
Well, then we'll see him in, 2019 then?
Yes.
Of course, Georgia has that Swift kid, so they don't really need him anyway. But anyway, Zamir White's not going to be there. Scotland's looking for a quarterback, I hear, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Of course, we have a sophomore quarterback.
Yeah, Caleb Wood.
Who was a freshman last year. They threw him into the fire. I thought he did very, very well. I look for this to be a decent year. That's why I'm saying 8-3, but with the possibility of going 9-2.
For me, I'm kind of the same way about Wake Forest and Butler. But I do think they'll get a win over Scotland.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be the year that Richmond does beat Scotland.
I hope so, and I know
I've been to
everybody
a few
here.
of those games.
Yes, and they always been ugly.
Yeah, and I mean you see a lot of times when it comes to these kind of games, it's whoever's the home team tends to win.
Yes.
But when it does come down to Scotland, Richmond, it doesn't matter what the record is.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Not really. Yeah, you're right because that is such a big rival and has been for a little while now.
I would say that's the rivalry of the state. That's how big I think it is.
I like the matter of fact. I like the what you said, the battle of the Highway 74.
Yeah.
They're all Scotland actually our little brother. They actually broke off from Richmond way back when.
Well, if anyone in Scotland County is watching, I apologize, but that's just how it is, man. No, we can't help what happened back then. But again, I'm expecting big things for the Raiders. It is a young team. But with that, I think that maybe instead of learning some not bad things, but this team will be able to learn from coach, learn the right things to do, learn how to play the game, and basically, I hear that there's some guys from the JV squad that are coming up that are some bashers on defense. So a couple linebackers we've got to keep an eye out for. And I apologize for not remembering their names, but once we get into football season, we'll definitely start delving more into that. So. Again, you can see earlier on the screen that the Raiders schedule is up. Of course, you can also find that on the Richmond Observer as well. Moving on, but football, we're going to move up a level to the college. The Hall of Fame for the 2019 year, they've announced a bunch of inductees that are eligible this year. But on Monday they revealed this, and I just want to go over some of the ones that a lot of people know, basically because they had great NFL careers. Now, again, I want to let you know that whoever gets picked won't be picked until January 7th of next year and won't actually go in until December of next year. So this is way off in the future, but they've announced them, so we figured we'd throw them out there and talk a little bit about it. First of all, Eric Dickerson is on there. SMU running back. Tony Gonzalez, tight end from Cal. Marvin Harrison from Syracuse, the wide receiver. Torrey Holt, who we all know from NC State, who was a wide receiver. Ray Lewis, who we definitely all know from Miami, was the big linebacker there. Darren McFadden, who was part of that two-headed monster in Arkansas, was running back. Carson Palmer, USC Heisman Trophy winner, correct?
Yes.
Troy Polamalu, one of his mates back there on the defensive side at USC. Joe Thomas, the great offensive lineman from Wisconsin. And, of course, Vince Young, the quarterback from Texas. Now, I know that's a lot of names, but anybody stand out to you?
I think Ray Lewis and Marvin Harrison, Tony Gonzalez, and I believe Torrey Holt from Wolfpack. I think those guys are already a shoe-in.
All right.
I think Ray Lewis is 2 shoes in.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering how Ray Lewis isn't in already. I was kind of surprised to see that. Another one that surprised me was Eric Dickerson. How is Eric Dickerson not in the College Football Hall of Fame? He played in the early 80s. How did it take this long, 35 years for him to get to this point? I'm reading here that he ran for 1,428 yards as a junior with 19 touchdowns. And then as a senior, followed that up with 1,600 yards and 17 touchdowns. How does that not get you in the Hall of Fame for college? You can only be there for 4 years and do so much, And then, like you said, Ray Lewis, I'm looking up here, Big East, led the Big East in tackles twice with 153 in 94 and 160 tackles in 1995. I mean, that's killing it right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just a couple guys. Of course, Carson Palmer, Vince Young, USC, Texas. You're talking about that game earlier. Should both of these guys get in?
I think Vince Young, the only reason he'll get in because of what he did in that national championship game when he ran inside at end zone at the final stages of the game and beat Southern Cal when you had Matt Lawner at the time.
Yeah, it was an iconic game. You're absolutely right about that. And, of course, Carson Palmer, Heisman Trophy, does that automatically get you in? Because he's a first-time ballot guy.
Well, if you get the Heisman Trophy, I think that should automatically put you on there because you've done a lot
Yes.
for that trophy. And that trophy means a lot.
I agree.
And I think certainly.
And probably the only successful Southern Cal quarterback who ever played in the NFL.
That did anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got Mark Sanchez, Matt Leinart was okay.
Matt Lawner was okay, and then you had
Barkley.
Barkley.
Matt Barkley, yeah. So, of course, we'll see what Sam Darnold does with the Jets, but that's of course, we're maybe talking about Sam Darnold on this list, who knows, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
These are all a lot of really good players. Now, I know it can be skewed a little bit because you look at someone like Tony Gonzalez, first ballot Hall of Famer in the NFL. I'm not really sure why he wasn't on there, and I'm not saying he didn't have a great college career, but if a guy is okay in college and then goes to the pros and has a Hall of Fame career, maybe that can get skewed a little bit, that they weren't as good in college as it seems.
But
this is the College Football Hall
That's
of
what
Fame,
I'm saying.
so it should be
It's
based
just
only
college.
on college,
Exactly.
not anything to do with NFL.
But then at the same time, you got to look at this right here. Most of those guys probably getting inducted now because of the name that what they did in their NFL careers.
Yeah, and like Joe Thomas, for instance.
Yeah, probably one of the best offensive linemen in this generation.
And was a very, very high draft pick.
Yeah.
And you don't get that unless you have a great college career, usually. Or you show that you're going to be able to excel at the next level. So I agree on that. Now, moving on, going to continue the college football talk. We had talked last week about how Nick Saban was catching some heat for players in the SEC being able to not transfer inside of the conference. And Saban was like, look, this isn't my rule. This was already here. Now, some coaches follow it, some don't. We obviously know Saban does, and he's caught some slack for it. Now, the SEC has gotten rid of that. Now, maybe the tables will turn. Jeremy, what do you think? Should teams be able to move from within the conference like this?
I believe they can if you request to get out of the school because due to lack of playing time, whatever the case may be, you should.
All right, what do you think, Russell?
I'm going to say I agree that they took it down. Like I said last week, it couldn't even be a playing time. It could be something academically. They might have to change in their major where if one school's better at that major than the one they're currently at. So something like that, it should allow them to do something like that. It shouldn't be a competitive reason why. I think that shouldn't matter. To me, the rules just makes no sense.
And you guys have heard me say this several times about how I don't think it's fair that coaches are able to leave a school at the drop of a dime, but a player can't. And coaches are able to go from one team in a conference to another team in the same conference if they want to. They're more than welcome to do that and make millions of dollars on that, which we might talk about that here in just a minute. But I'm perfectly fine with if a kid wants to. Like there was a kid that was at, I think, Alabama and wanted to go to Georgia, or maybe vice versa, and Saban wouldn't let it happen. Let me ask you this. Do you think Saban's like, y'all had a rule and somebody didn't follow it, so now that it's not technically a rule anymore, does he still have to follow it? Could he still block kids from coming to his, or leaving to go to Florida or A&M or
I don't
LSU?
think he should be allowed to block. I think if he blocks it, I think he should get fined for trying to block that. In my opinion, I really think that's how it should be. Cause
do you think Saban cares?
probably wouldn't, but I think even then, I think the school should be able to override that and let him go.
And real quick, Saban's actually come out and said that he thinks this will actually work toward their benefit, because now some kids might want to come to Alabama from other SEC schools and leave them in the dark. What do you think?
Hey, let me tell you something. We talking about Nick Saban. This is like the Brian Belichick of college football.
I mean, it's already not fair that the players that
Yeah,
Alabama
yeah.
get. So if they're able to peel off other guys that are
Yeah, and
transferring,
I think
come
they
on.
should. I think they, you know, they didn't say yes, they answer no. And the reason why I'm saying the yes part because it's up to the players
Right.
and what they want to do. But I say no is because if you got a good situation at the school where you at, you need to stay there.
All right. And to finish it up, because we only got just a couple minutes left here, the Big 12, which has 10 teams, go figure, has
Big Ten has 12.
has announced that they made $364.9 million. So we'll call it $365 million. So $1 million a day. And they're going to pass it to all 10 of their schools, which comes out to be just about $36 million, you said,
Yeah.
a little bit over, which is the highest that they've ever dispersed. Now, the SEC and I think the Big Ten actually give out more than this, but they have championship games. But all of this begs the question, real quick, is there too much money involved for these kids not to be getting a portion of this?
I think, like we said this a few weeks ago, I think, you know, if a player's contributing to day in, day out to do what they need to do and win, not even a bowl game, even a championship or a conference championship, I think some of that money should be dispersed to the players.
Yeah, what do you think, Russell?
I can still flip-flop on this one because I do agree they need to get paid something, but I really don't think it should be money, honestly. I think, you know, they're already getting the full ride scholarship for one. Most of them are anyways. And that's it. I think you should get other benefits to being at the school. I'm not sure what it could be, special attendance to other events going on campus or, you know, meeting certain people. You know,
Pretty sure they already get all that, though.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, I think that kind of balances things out. Of course, I know they're putting their bodies on the line for these schools to make money. So, but they kind of have that choice there. They don't, you know, they want to make a career out of it eventually, and they'll get paid big bucks, hopefully.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just for some of them.
Well, I'm not saying these guys should get paid like the NFL players do by any means. But again, they are still putting their bodies out there,
Right.
and in conferences like the SEC, I mean that's basically the NFL light, isn't it? To
Pretty
an
much.
extent. And I mean, come on, these numbers are only going to continue to go higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
We all know that
And
too.
the coaches get paid millions.
Coaches' salaries are going to keep going higher and higher. There's going to be a point where all the assistant coaches are all making $1 million over in a year. I just think something needs to be thrown a little bit out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Maybe you brought up a percentage that's figured out for each school and how many college students go there or how many wins they got or whatever it may be.
Because not every school can, like, for example, UNC Pembroke cannot pay out the same amount as University
Exactly.
of Alabama.
Yeah.
Exactly. But at the same time, no offense to Pembroke, but it's not they're not the same thing at all.
I
you
know,
know?
but it's kind of it's like you could not pay them
Right.
them players.
I know.
the same.
I get the point you're
Yeah.
trying to make. I'm just saying, you know, the players that Alabama's getting are a little bit on the other side than the players UNCP's getting. And I should know because I thought about trying out when they started up their football team. So, and that should tell you all you need to know about that. So, but that's going to do it for our college football talk. And, of course, again, if you want to see the Richmond Raiders schedule, you can find that on the Richmond Observer. And when we come back, Russell and I are going to get into some NASCAR. The PGA is over at the Memorial this past week. We're going to look at the U.S. Open coming up in a couple weeks at Shinnecock's Hills. And then look at the teams from the Carolinas that are left in the NCAA baseball tournament. All that and more when we come back to the Oro Sports Show.
McNair Auto Sales is the place to buy your pre-owned car, truck, or van. To be the best, it takes big selection, friendly staff, and great pricing. We guarantee a no-hassle buying experience, and financing is available right on site. So come see us today. We're located at 1026 East Broad Avenue in Rockingham. And remember, with over 40 years of experience, you know McNair is the name you can trust.
Family Pharmacy is a local pharmacy that's been in business in Rockingham for over 10 years. Located in the Food Lion Shopping Center on US 1 North, we have easy access into the store and a drive-thru for your convenience as well. You can download the official Family Pharmacy app at myfamilypharmacy.com and we'll help you set it up to text you when your prescription is ready, and you can even set it up to fill your prescriptions when due. Our motto is we'll treat you like family, and it's something we truly mean. We take the same care in filling your prescription that we would take for our own family. Family Pharmacy, we'll treat you like family.
Willow Tree Antiques and Gifts is all about rustic home decor and gifts. You will always find a variety of unique antiques, vintage, and new items in our shop. Come and see our selection of housewarming, new baby, and wedding gifts. For the man in your life, we have many collectibles, Boker knives, and leather. And ladies love the jewelry, purses, candles, hats, and t-shirts. We also offer a 30-day layaway program. Come and experience shopping at Willow Tree Antiques and Gifts.
Hello, I'm Tammy Benson, and this is Nancy Bowling. And we're here to tell you about the wonderful service at hospice and what they have to bring, from the nursing services to the medical director to in-home aides to a chaplain to bereavement to everything you can imagine. They were there to take care of it. I cannot think of how the experience with hospice could have been any better professionally, spiritually.
And welcome back to the RO Sports Show. Of course, always brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. Time to hit the track, as we always do, Russell. And first off, where were we this past weekend?
Well, we were up in Pocono, Pennsylvania for the 400 mile race that they have up there at Tricky Triangle. They have it twice a year, but this one here in the spring here. It was a nice day, no rain in the area, so it was really nice to have that, because usually Pocono has that threat of rain quite often.
Mm-hmm.
So we were good on that.
Now, you said Tricky Triangle. Explain what that means.
So it is a triangle. The racetrack is actually shaped like a triangle. It's not your traditional oval track.
No, it's not.
Or road course. It's got 3 legs, 3 turns, and on the third turn, it'll say on the wall, it says what turn for.
And that has to be the only one in the circuit like that.
It is certainly one of the most unique tracks. One of my favorites too.
That's very cool. Now, just like we always do, who did you predict to win this race?
Well, I had predicted Martin Truex Jr. I have a couple other guys in my head. Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch were a few of them, but in the end, I picked Martin Truex Jr., and I believe that served to be correct.
I think out of the guys you named, I think you hit like the top 5
yeah.
in order.
Almost. I think Ryan Blaney was the lowest one that had everybody else higher than him.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's why they pay you the big bucks when it comes to NASCAR especially. So we know Truex won. How about your man Logano? How'd he end up doing?
He did okay. He didn't finish a solid top 5. I think he actually got just outside the top 10. He was having an up and down day. Which is kind of the reason why I didn't put him in my top 5 for power rankings. But he's doing pretty solid still. I wouldn't count him out just yet to get another win this season. But certainly he didn't have the greatest day this past Sunday.
Now, he's talking about your power rankings. We'll get to those in a minute. I think last week you had Kevin Harvick on the top of that. He's moved a little bit on your board. But in this race, how did Harvick do? I mean, he's been the guy that's been tearing up the track this year.
Yeah, he did pretty good. He gave Truex a run for his money. He actually won the second stage in the race, kind of broke up Truex doing the sweep there. Truex had won the first stage and, of course, the final stage, which is then the race. But Harvick, he kind of broke that up and kept very close to the front of the field all day, as well as Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson had a run for it. Ryan Blaney, who had the pole, started off very well in the race, but he kind of dropped back just a little bit, and he was not quite there to close out the race.
Now, I want to ask you a question about the actual cars themselves. You've been telling me about how it seems like Ford has just been reaping all the benefits, right? Mm-hmm. Was that similar for this race as well?
No, Martin Truex is a Toyota.
Okay.
He's driving Toyota, kind of like a partnership with Joe Gibbs Racing. So Toyota has been kind of up and coming now this season, which usually during the summertime, last year, they were just heating up. Of course, last year, Martin Truex Jr. kind of started off his race to the championship at Pocono. Mm-hmm. So, but Truex kind of started off a little bit earlier this season with a win, but now he's kind of getting that momentum again going.
Sure. So we moved past Pennsylvania and the Poconos. Where are we headed to next?
We are heading north to Michigan, and I forgot where it's actually located, but I know it's really close to the Canadian border. Mm-hmm. It's a 2-mile track. It's very wide open. It's enough space there for running 5 wide, which is 5 cars side by side. They got space for that, so it should be really interesting to see how that race is run. Kind of similar to what we seen at Auto Club Speedway earlier this season, which was pretty solid racing.
See, for some reason, I was thinking Michigan was a road course, but I guess it's not, is it? What am I thinking of? Watkins Glen, maybe?
Watkins Glen, yeah, that's
probably
up in New York.
That's probably what I knew it was up there towards Canada somewhere. Obviously, we can't predict the weather, but is weather usually a factor up there? You're talking about that in Pennsylvania.
Not usually around this time of the year. I think it works out pretty good for Michigan.
All right, and just like always, get a prediction from you. Who you got?
Well, I think I'm going to have to go with Kyle Larson on this one. He's shown a lot of potential to win this race in the past couple of years, and he's definitely stepping up this season. He's probably the best Chevrolet driver right now, and he has been moving up. I feel like an open track like Michigan will serve him well, and I think he can get the job done.
All right. And speaking of Kyle Larson, he's a guy that's on your power rankings. We're going to pull those up for folks watching. So I see some movement on there. Harvick's dropped down. Kyle Busch has moved up. So just go through here and tell us about your power rankings.
Well, Kyle Busch had won a couple weeks ago, but I didn't really give him too much credit for it. However, I did bump him up at top because he is now the points leader, and he's kind of showing a lot more dominance than really I have been paying that much attention to. But now I have, and I realize that he should be up a little bit higher than Harvick. They're kind of very, very close on points, Harvick and Kyle Busch. But Kyle Busch is just kind of having a good, solid racing season so far. Kevin Harvick, I dropped him down just because of that reason. That Kyle Busch is kind of stepping up a little bit now. Truex, I pushed him up. That's because Logano has dropped out. I dropped out Logano and put Larson in because I think Larson has kind of shown, again, reiterating the fact that he's stepping up a lot now in this season. Best Chevrolet driver right now. Brad Keselowski is continuing to stay consistent, so I wanted to keep him up there as well.
Which I think is what you're going to have to see from a lot of these guys throughout the rest of the season is consistency, right? Isn't that the most important thing when it comes to the point standings?
Especially right now in the regular season. I think there's about 10 races left in the regular season, and the winner of the regular season championship, they will get bonus playoff points into the playoffs later on this season.
Okay.
So very, very big incentive for that. And right now, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, they're kind of the guys who are vying for that right now.
All right. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that. And as always, keep an eye on your power rankings, which, of course, you can find on the RO Sports Show's Facebook page every Tuesday. Now, also, like we tend to do, we're going to move from fast to grass. We're going to hit the PGA Tour. The big boys this past week were at the Memorial, which is... It's kind of like one of those 5th or 6th majors, if you will. That's the big Jack Nicklaus tournament. Of course, everybody wants to come and see Jack, who's getting up there, but it's still a pretty good golfer. I know he could whip me. But Bryson DeChambeau, who I don't know about you, but I'd never heard of this guy.
Heard of him.
But he won a 2-hole playoff to win the Memorial. He actually shot a 15 under, and of course there were 2 other guys that were with him that I've never heard of them either. But some guys that we have heard of. Dustin Johnson shot an 11 under. My man Ricky Fowler, who I picked a couple weeks ago, he shot an 11 under, so he seems like he's getting his groove back. As is Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
He shot an 11 under. And then, of course, the old-timers, Phil Mickelson shot a 10 under. Tiger shot a 9 under. So I don't know if it was the course. Maybe this was an easier course. The guys were just tearing it up. But you see a lot of big names shooting low scores.
Yeah, well, I think Tiger's kind of stepping up now. I think he's definitely ready and in the groove to potentially win the U.S. Open, as well as Phil Mickelson, even Rory McIlroy. They're all stepping up now because this is the big one.
Yep, this is the big one, yeah. Now, the U.S. Open is going to be taking place at Shinnecock Hills, which is in the Hamptons in New York. Not this weekend, but the next weekend. They're actually going to be at the, I think it's the St. Jude Classic.
Yep.
There are some of these big guys that are playing, but, not nearly the big names as you see when it comes to the majors.
Yep.
But speaking of the U.S. Open, I want to quickly get a prediction from you. Just who you think is going to win the tournament?
I'm just going to go out and say that I think Tiger Woods. I'm going to say Tiger.
Well, that's funny because I'm going to take his counterpart for the last 20 years. I was going to take Phil.
All right.
Phil has never won a U.S. Open, which if you think about it, it's like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Just like Rory's never won a Masters. Of course, he's a lot younger than these guys are. But I just think it's time for Phil to do it. He's played Shinnecock before and played it well. It's probably been 15 years since he did it.
Yeah.
But again, he knows the course well. It's long, but it's tight, and that sometimes to me, I think his mid-range game will benefit there. But again, you got these big guys like Dustin Johnson, like Spieth, that can just crush the ball.
Oh yeah.
And you put a 550-yard par 5 out there, and they reach it in 2.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with that?
I didn't even think about Jordan Spieth. I might change mine up now, Jordan.
You gonna take Spieth?
Yeah, Jordan. I think he's one of the guys that you could see come up, and he's going to be one of the biggest names out there.
Yeah.
And he's already kind of is, but I think he can be.
Oh, he definitely is.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, this is one of the big ones. And, when you get on the big stage, you look to see who's going to be the big man on campus, so to speak. And all those names I read, DJ, Ricky, Rory, Phil, Tiger, Spieth, I think any of those guys have the fortitude to step up and win it. Of course, Tiger and Phil have a lot more experience than a lot of these guys do. But I think it's anybody's match, and I'm excited to see what happens in a couple weeks here. But also, on I guess you'd call it grass. Baseball's got grass on it.
Yeah,
and
some sand.
There's some dirt and grass. But we, last week we were talking about the NCAA baseball tournament, and there were like 10 teams from the Carolinas that were in there, which it seems like a lot, and it was. But unfortunately, we're down to 3.
Yeah.
After the first wave of games, it's kind of like the basketball tournament. They almost cut it in half. We're down to only 16 teams altogether, and we've got a graphic pulled up that shows who's left from the Carolinas. We've got Duke, South Carolina, and UNC. I think I know what this answer is going to be, but out of these 3 left, which ones impressed you the most?
Certainly Duke. They defeated Georgia twice down in Athens, which is probably unheard of.
Yeah.
No matter what sport it is. So you gotta go down to Athens for any sport. That's gonna be a hard game to win.
Absolutely.
And congratulations to Duke on that one, because that's hard fought.
Because I know when we were making predictions, I'm pretty sure both of us had Georgia running away with that.
Yeah.
Even with that bracket.
I even threw out them being the national champions.
Yeah, you did, which I remember calling you out on that. But I mean, here they are, and as much as I hate to admit it, Duke's impressed me the most too, because North Carolina and South Carolina were 2 teams that people I think expected to be there, especially North Carolina. But I will say this. Moving on into the tournament, Duke is now going to be facing Texas Tech. After beating number 1 ranked Georgia, I mean, does this even scare them at this point?
Well, I don't think they need to get too high on their horse there. I think they need to sit back a little bit, check out how Texas Tech's been playing.
Yeah.
And don't take them lightly, because that's where they're going to mess up if they do that. That's probably where Georgia messed up at.
Yeah.
So don't fall into the same plate.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like the basketball tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Virginia and UMBC. I mean, that
we'll
was
never thought about that one.
Oh, no, but I mean, but it's never happened before.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just goes to show you have to be on your A game every game.
Yep.
And maybe not so much in the baseball tournament, because the first round is double elimination. This round here will be best of 3, but still, you lose 2, you go
out.
home.
Yep.
So but Duke's playing Texas Tech. South Carolina is going to be moving on to play Arkansas. These 2 actually know each other, both from the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Arkansas, but I actually watched a lot of South Carolina while I was down at the beach, and they look pretty good. I think I might have to take them over Arkansas. How about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the West on this one, Arkansas. I think they might be able to pull off an upset here. I would call it upset.
Yeah, well, I mean, the SEC every year is always good in baseball. I mean, we were looking at a map last week of all the teams that were located that were hosting a regional. You had Minnesota way up top, and you had Oregon State in the Pacific Northwest. Everybody else was south of the Mason-Dixon line, basically, which is what you see. I mean, baseball is a southern sport, If this was the hockey tournament, it'd be the complete opposite.
Oh, yeah.
But nonetheless, and then the UNC Tar Heels moving on to face the Stetson Hatters. Now, this is a team out of Florida. A lot of people don't necessarily know about them, but they are a really good baseball team and a baseball school. I'm afraid they're going to give the Tar Heels some trouble. I don't know about you.
Personally, I don't think UNC had a really strong first round. Like, I don't think the teams that they played were that strong. So they might still be able to walk out of this one. They were the number 1 team, one of the number 1 seeds. So I could see them winning this game.
Yeah, UNC beat Houston twice in their little roundabout there to move on. I think the second game was like 16-11, so there was no pitching in that one. It was all offense. Of course, you see that a lot in college baseball. But, before this tournament started, I was reading up on it on ESPN, and some of the experts said Florida Gators, who were the number 1 overall pick.
And where are they at?
Well, they're still there.
Oh, that's right.
They're still there. And then the Stetson Hatters were 2 teams to look out for. And of course, I said, well, Florida, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Who the heck is Stetson? Read up on them. They're a really good school. So, of course, I'm going to take my Tar Heels.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that one, like I said, these are best of 3. That one very well could go to 3.
So we only got one difference. That's the South Carolina-Arkansas game.
That's right. And we'll come back next week and see how it turned out. So, but that's going to do it for this segment.
Oh, I got one thing.
Yeah.
Florida State, the college
softball
softball World Series. Florida State beat Washington in best of 2 out of 3 on that one. So congratulations, Florida State.
Yes, absolutely. I forgot to mention that. Yes, absolutely. Congratulations to the Lady Seminoles for winning the Women's College World Series. Yeah, they put a spanking on Washington.
Oh,
It wasn't even. That was ACC, baby, which I think I read that was the first ACC College World Series championship.
Really?
That didn't sound right to me. I think I read that somewhere there. We'll have to look that up in the break. But Yeah, that didn't make any sense. You'd think somebody by now would have won it. But nonetheless, ACC representing, winning the College World Series on the women's side. But again, that's going to do it for this segment. When we come back, we're going to finish up like we always do with our big impacts of the week. We're going to take a look at the RO Sports Show Facebook poll, and we're also going to finish up with Love It or Hate It, all that and more when we come right back. And welcome back to the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. And guys, let's wrap up the show like we always do. We're going to start with our big impacts of the week, brought to you by Richmond Community College, whose motto is Local College, Big Impact. Russell, who you got this week?
Well, I got a big impact for you. How about Duke defeating Georgia in baseball in Athens and beat them 2-0. 2 losses for Georgia by Duke.
Yep.
Took them out of the playoffs.
And Georgia was no mas. What about you, Jeremy? What you got for your big impact?
My big impact for today is congratulations to Teddy Mosley, who just named as Richmond Raiders varsity girls basketball coach.
Absolutely, and I got to cover them this past season, and I saw Teddy start to work his way into the men's team. Teddy's a great basketball mind. I expect big things from the women's team moving forward. Also, another coaching change is going to be my big impact of the week. Ashley Larson is taking over for the varsity volleyball team. Of course, Shelly Wimpy was the head coach there. She's actually moving over to track and field. But big congratulations to Ashley Larson, the next head volleyball coach for the Richmond Raiders. And of course, those last two you can find on the Richmond Observer if you want to read the full story. Now, we're going to take a look like we've been doing at our RO Sports Show poll that we've been putting up on the RO Sports Show's Facebook page, which of course, if you haven't found yet, look it up, go like it, share it with your friends. This week we talked about David Tepper, who we know bought the Carolina Panthers for $2.2 billion, which from the sounds of it was kind of pocket change for him. He's worth like double-digit billions, I guess. Anyway, he bought him for $2.2 billion. We kind of figured that he's eventually going to come asking the city of Charlotte for, at the very least, money to fix up the stadium, and at the very most, ask for a new stadium altogether. So we wanted to ask everyone what they thought should happen. Should the public pony up and pay for this as taxpayers? Or should David Tepper step in and continue to put his billions in and build his own stadium since he owns the team? As you can see up there, it went 85% to 15% that Tepper should pay. Kind of what we figured. Taxpayers don't want to pay for this kind of stuff, especially when the owners get to not pay for it and then reap all the benefits. But just real quick, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree with the public here. The public should not be paying for this because how do you know that someone... Not everybody's a football fan. Not everybody wants this here, so they shouldn't have to be forced to pay for it. Tepper is the one who's invested in this. I think he should be one. If anything, maybe the people who are interested in seeing the Panthers have a better stadium, they should be able to donate money to that cause.
That's a good idea. What do you think?
I think our new owner needs to needs to chip in and do his own stuff because, hey, you bought this thing. It's your money. You can do what you want to do with it, but I think you pretty much need to take care of your own.
Yeah. Tepper, I think conservatively he's worth about $10 billion. So now he's worth about $8 billion. He's got $8 billion left. If you want to build a really, really Super Bowl caliber stadium, you can drop $1 billion, maybe $1.5 billion, which still leaves him with $7 billion. Yeah. So I know that it's his money. He probably worked very hard to get there. But at the same time, these billionaires come in, buy these teams, and then expect taxpayers to chip in everything else. But then what happens is all of the advertising move in, all of the naming rights move in, and guess who gets all that money? The team and the owner does, not the taxpayers. They don't get that money back, and it's just quite frankly not fair.
And just like going back what Russell was saying, even with I don't think Charlotte taxpayers should be paying for something because for one, you got like he said, everybody's not into football. and then at the same time, you're not gonna reap the benefits out of it because you ain't getting anything. And I think if a taxpayer paying for something toward a new stadium, they ought to get something out the deal to come like a guest pass, tickets or something.
And I mean, a lot of times they use like hotel taxes and stuff like that, which, to pay for these sort of things. But I guarantee you there's more people that would say, even the Carolinas, that would say, let's put it towards education. Let's put it towards infrastructure instead of let's go build another $1 billion stadium so we might get a WrestleMania or might get a Super Bowl 10 years from now. So, but again, if you want to participate with the RO Sports Show's Facebook poll, make sure to find us on Facebook, like it, and share it with your friends. And we're going to try to put up one of those each week, as well as a lot of other good stuff on our Facebook page. And guys, let's end it like we always do with our Love It or Hate It. A lot of basketball this week, as we know, with the finals going on. We talked about kind of ragging on JR a little bit earlier, but not nearly as bad as the Warriors fans did when JR was at the free throw line in Game 2. Warriors fans started chanting MVP at him, obviously not in a favorable way. But what do you think about this? Love it or hate it?
I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to hate it too. Show some class and some respect.
Yeah.
I'm going to say love it because that's on JR, man. He should have been paying attention. He should have known that not to take the ball out or pass it or call a timeout. You're a professional basketball player. This comes with the territory. You're in the finals. This is make or break time. Yeah. If the fans jump on you and start chanting MVP, that's because you deserved it, and not in a good way.
Well, I know in football they call it the fans the 12th man. I'm not sure what that number will be in basketball. With that
Six man?
Six man. So,
it certainly play an impact there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, it messed them up, so that was the whole point,
Yeah.
Now, moving on, the NBA is going to be testing Coach's Replay Challenge. And as I was talking during the break, basically what this is, in football, if a coach wants to challenge, he's able to throw a flag out there. Obviously, you can't do that in basketball because everybody's right there on the action. So they're going to look at this in the Summer League and figure out a way for coaches to be able to call a challenge. So what do you think about this? Love it or hate it?
I'm kind of going to say hate it because at the end of the day, if you got something that your system works in the NBA, stick to it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to say love it. I think they need to find a way to allow coaches to have a better opportunity to use their challenges. I don't know if they might be able to throw up a card or something or press a button that make a sound saying, hey, challenge this, something like that maybe. Yeah,
you see it with baseball. They don't throw out a thing either. Basically, the players kind of say, hey, take a look at this, which baseball is obviously a lot different than basketball when it comes to actual what's going on. I'm not even sure exactly what they would look at. Maybe if it's a 3-pointer or a 2-pointer, if their foot's on the line, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
was it goaltending?
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't throw a flag out there. They'll figure out some way. I'm kind of like you. I mean, it doesn't seem to be broken right now, so why fix it?
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, moving on. Steve Kerr, we're going to keep the trolling going. Steve Kerr, of course, the head coach for the Golden State Warriors, trolled LeBron after the Game 2 press conference. So let me start with saying this. After Game 1, of course, all the guys do a press conference. LeBron James up there. He basically just gets up in the middle of the press conference and leaves, which I have to say I gave Cam Newton a lot of grief for when he did that in the Super Bowl, and I'm getting ready to do it with LeBron too. Anyway, he gets up. As he's walking out, one of the reporters says, what do you guys need to do to win the next game? And he just simply said, be better. And he was talking about the actual press corps, as in you guys need to be better and stop asking stupid questions, I guess. But Steve Kerr, at the end of his press conference in the second game, said, I really thought you guys did a lot better tonight. So obviously trolling LeBron when he said that to the press corps. What do you think? Love it or hate it?
I'm going to love it because that's even Coach Kerr, even though you go coaching against LeBron, but you give LeBron some encouraging words.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence on this one here, but I'm probably going to say hate it just because of the fact that LeBron, I get that he's frustrated. Once again, we'll go back to what we were talking about earlier. He's frustrated, but he's got to stay there and stick through that. Just like you said, brought up Cam Newton. Same situation. Don't get up out of press box. No matter how idiotic the reporters may be, stick with it. It's kind of part of your job anyways to be at that thing. Don't just skip and leave. Or I would put, don't be a Kyle Busch.
Yeah, exactly. You said everything I was going to say. I hate it because just the same way I ragged on Cam for doing this, I'm going to say the same thing with LeBron. You are the face of the organization. You are a professional athlete. You get paid to do your job. Part of that job comes with dealing with the press, whether you like it or not, especially somebody like LeBron. Cam, I wouldn't say is the face of the NFL.
He is.
Well, you may think so, but LeBron is the face of the NBA, the whole league. He can't be getting up and doing this. On the other side, though, I don't fault Steve Kerr for doing this. This is kind of his personality. I really don't think LeBron even cares about it, but I love the trolliness that's going on from the fans, from the players, from the coaches. All of that wrapped into one just makes sports and the NBA Finals specifically that much better. Now, moving on to college basketball and NBA, the Michigan Wolverines head coach John Beilein, of course, Michigan was just in the Final Four this past March. He's interviewed for the Detroit Pistons vacancy. Love it or hate it?
I love it. It's an opportunity for you to explore the options to better yourself as a coach.
Right?
Yeah, I'm going to say love it.
I'm going to say love it, but I don't think he should leave. They were just in the Final Four. Mm-hmm. He's got a top 10 recruiting class coming in next year. However, if they were going to look for a coach, you might as well stay in state and stay with a guy that you know the fans will like, which I think is kind of where they looked at him a little bit because people in Michigan know Beilein. If he stays in Detroit, he stays in Michigan. So
because I know Detroit was also interviewing former Toronto's coach Dwayne Casey.
Dwayne Casey, absolutely. Patrick Mahomes, of course, going to be the starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs this year after Alex Smith got traded to the Redskins. Last year he was backing up Smith, and he actually declined some local endorsements because he was kind of trying to find his way on the team, kind of build himself into the city of Kansas City. So what do you think about him declining endorsements? Love it or hate it?
I love it because this is an opportunity for him to get to know the system and get to know the fans in Kansas City. And I believe by then he turned it down everything. I think he just wanted, in a nice, humble way, let me play my game. Let me take Kansas City to where they needs to be. If that's the case, maybe then you can, give me endorsements, whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, I try to stick with love it on this one as well.
I'm going to say love it because you never see this ever. I can't even tell you anybody that would turn down endorsement money because a lot of guys are like, I'm going to get it while it's good. Because in football, you might not be around next year.
There you go.
However, I expect some big things from Mahomes, so I would imagine that there are going to be some bigger endorsements in his future, probably sooner rather than later. So I'm going to say love this. And then we're going to end it with a little fashion police here. So LeBron and Draymond Green have been spotted going to and leaving the NBA Finals games wearing suits up top and shorts down below. And I think they're like suit shorts. Not like regular shorts.
That's what they call it, suit shorts.
Suit shorts. So what do you think about this? It's very AC/DC. Love it or hate it?
I love it because it's a fashion trend, and I see that when Draymond and LeBron doing, I think a lot of players in the NBA in future-wise would start doing the same.
Right.
I'm going to say I love it, too. I think it's a pretty good trend.
Yeah.
Be more relaxed, but still professional.
I guess, man. These are grown men, though. I just think they look ridiculous, and I can't really say much right this very moment. But, I don't know. This is out there for me for a fashion trend. I'd be interested to see if that it actually does take off.
I think the point of it, though, is to get attention.
I get LeBron doesn't need attention.
Well,
And by the way, that suit with shorts that LeBron was wearing only cost $14,000. So think about that. Shorts that are $14,000.
He could afford it.
Of course he can. Of course he can. But
it's chump change.
Yeah. But I will say, and we can all agree that suit up top and shorts down low is very, very comfortable.
Oh, yes.
But that's going to do it for this edition of the RO Sports Show. And of course, let me run down all the many, many ways that you can watch us and listen to us. First, let me start with, if you want to listen only, you can do that on The Classic Rock with the app or theclassicrockradio.com. If you want to watch us, you can do that on the RO Sports Show's Facebook page, the Richmond Observer's Facebook page, the Richmond Observer's YouTube page, the Richmond Observer website, and the RO app. How many is that?
6.
I feel like I'm leaving one out. I probably am.
Is it the Facebook page?
Yeah, maybe. That's just the point.
There's so many ways.
There's so many ways. And, of course,
it's all free.
It's all free. So, for Russell Parker, Jeremy McKenzie, I'm Matt Harrelson. We'll see you right back here next Thursday at 5:30 for more from the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. We'll see you next week.